Big Mike.
What's up, man?
Man, what it do, man?
You over there doing some work, man. You over there, see the intro getting more and more, I don't even know the word, man.
Well, good. Shout out to me
awesome.
for making it a lot better. Yeah, shout out to me.
Hey, man. I was excited watching it. I said, look at this dude, man.
Yeah, man, doing small stuff. Yo, shout out to Drea real quick while we got this in here. If y'all ain't got it, go get it. Got our copy and stuff. So, please make sure if y'all didn't see the last episode, go get it. Shout out to her making her way back to the States for the last episode.
Hey, before we go any further, though, I need to wish a big happy birthday to my baby girl, Jemiah. She turned 17 today. Sad I can't be there, but I know her mother doing her thing with her and having her enjoy her day. So shout out to my baby girl. If y'all on my page, wish her a happy birthday for me.
Yeah, you know when it's a Denson birthday, I gotta sing on 3. Y'all know the words. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. All right, I'm in the dorms. I can't be too loud. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't do too loud. Yo,
kick you out, man.
Welcome back to Unpopular Celebrities, y'all. Yeah, man. Happy birthday, man. Welcome back to Unpopular Celebrities. Nick Jack, man. What's going on, man? How are you, bro? Man? It's good to have you on here. Hold on, Big Mike. I got to do one thing.
Go ahead. Do your thing, man. Hey, Nick Jack. What's up, brother? I hope you're doing all right out there. Hope you and the family good. Pete over there got to do his last minute adjustments as always. Probably in his dorm, he got like 17 surge protectors plugged up. The one thing fire department tell you not to do. Now you got them surge protectors. Fire department gonna come in there and shut you down, man.
That's fine. Let's get to the show, man, real quick, man. Welcome to Unpopular Celebrities. Nick Jack, what's going on? Chief Wiener said happy birthday, and we good to go. And we are going to. Hey, this is history, like you said when you wrote the intro, man. History in the making that we got going on right now. We have put two platforms together. I can't wait to hear these gentlemen hear their story. But right now we got two all-star Chiefs from the AF Blue Lab here on the screen. We got Chief Blaze and Chief KC. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
What's up, y'all?
What's up, sir?
What's going on?
Man,
See,
happy birthday, and happy birthday to you guys, right? 14, celebrating Unpopular Celebrities, 2 years, right?
Oh, yeah. 2 years. 2 years going strong. Appreciate that.
2 years strong. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's been a wild journey with this man to the left of me on the screen. Well, to the right of me, whichever way it is on the screen. But it's been a long journey. Hopefully, it's a lot longer to go. So the headaches will keep coming every day.
Having something early, man. I heard Big Mike say "sir," and I'm hearing "chief." Hey, look, I'm KC. I'm KC today. So
that's cool. Got it. Tracking.
We ain't gone the clock today. It's just
you got on the U.S. I just need the Air Force, and I was good. But the U.S. threw me off. The USA threw me off. But man, first of all, I really appreciate both of y'all for being on here and doing this with us. I'm glad we got to be able to collaborate these two platforms that we have, talking about kind of the same thing in a different way. And y'all two gentlemen have had a quite a great career and journey with not only the podcast but with the Air Force as well. So I can't wait to hear about your story and hear about everything. Real quick, Chief Blaze, I don't know if you remember this, but I'm gonna take you way back.
KC. But put your disclaimer. Put your disclaimer out there before we go. You got to.
Oh my goodness! Why you mess up my story? Real quick for everybody, none of the views or anything that we have anything to do with the United States Air Force Department of Defense. They're just our opinions only, unless one of the gentlemen say it has to do with Department of Defense of the Air Force, but not they're just our views. So can I continue, Big Mike? Thank you.
Good.
Moving on. Chief, all right, God, dog, it's gonna be hard. You were a senior master sergeant Blaze at Lackland Air Force Base 2015. You were in charge of IG. I'm taking you way back down memory lane. I was a young staff sergeant working at the 341st with the dog handling schoolhouse. I came and did a briefing, and I heard you do a briefing, and I got a hold of you afterwards, and I said, I really love briefing troops. I really loved your message. I really want to get out there to ALS and do a briefing. You then emailed the commandant of ALS a couple days later. 2 months later, I just read this email. 2 months later, he finally responded back. You had no idea who I was, but 2 months later, he responded back. He got me into a class, and we got rocking. So we kept in contact a little bit and lost contact, but I super, super, super appreciate the opportunity that you gave me and just leading from the front and don't really know me and gave me a chance to go out there and inspire airmen. So I really appreciate it and remember that, and I will always remember that. But so thank you. Thank you for it.
Yeah, Pete, I absolutely do remember it, man. And I, and that's not something, we kind of do for everybody, but I can tell, man, you got that hunger, you got that desire. And man, I trusted you. I was like, man, people got to see this guy's passion, for doing the right things, man. And, there's something unique about dog handlers, man. You know what I mean? There's something that, to take on those kind of duty and to love something that'll bite you in the ass like that and still come back. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to all our military working dog community out there, man. I got something on my wall, man, to get from there because my last 2 jobs ago, I had the pleasure to go back in there and be with the 341st as well, man. But Pete, awful proud of you guys. Big Mike, man. I know this is the first time we've linked up, man. But just honored to be with you guys today.
Appreciate it. Likewise.
Pete, I had to say something, man, and and I know Blaze heard this 1,000 times, man. I went to a conference one time. This guy, Bill Weismer, man, I think that's his name. He says, there's so many people that that's in our story, right? That's in our story that we talk about that have inspired us. But who's in your story, right? Who's telling people about Pete? Who's telling people about Mike? And I just wanted to say, everywhere I go, man, I can't go nowhere without somebody knowing Blaze and saying that exact same thing. How many people I know in this world that are saying that Blaze, Chief Blaze, Stefan Blazer is part of my story. And that's pretty unique. I just had to say that because that's when you hear it one time, hey, that's okay, that's one time, but you hear it so many times, man. And he has good discernment, so you must be a good dude.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I didn't think he would give me an opportunity, but he did, and I was like, I can't let him down. I didn't want to let myself down, but I damn sure couldn't let somebody down for vouching for me. So like I said, I always appreciate that. It would be part of my retirement story for real, because that get me on the path to get going. So I appreciate it for real. But to the Blue Lab, I'm really interested in hearing how this got started. I'm not sure who all knows the story, but how did the Blue Lab get started?
Casey, you got to talk about it, man. This is I mean, this is collab 101, man. But yeah, man, go ahead.
So I'll tell a story this way: is that we knew that there was a job at the Pentagon coming open, right? And so by the time all the bells and whistles and everything kind of floated out, Blaze was selected to be the chief of enlisted force development, man. And so there was about a 45, maybe 60-day period where we just collabing. Like I'm in the basement that he's going to in the future live in, because he lived in the basement for like 6 to 8 months. But we were just collabing, man. He was at 37 still, and I was here already. And we just start thinking of, man, we had more ideas, but we started thinking of stuff, and that was one of the ones, man. Let's start like a podcast, man. Let's just start getting people in, because we got so much thoughts. And here was the key to I think the conversation that he brought up was, typically this job that we were in is usually one chief, but that was an opportunity by the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force to put 2 chiefs in there. But typically, and what has been done historically, is that one person would sit there and design something and throw it out to the force. And that's what we heard, right? And all of a sudden, some things would come out to the force and was like, okay, cool, we got some new stuff. But one of the things that we said coming to the job was, let's make sure that we're not too old heads developing stuff. Let's make sure that people know what we're doing, they're involved with what we're doing, and that is the voice of the customer, like true voice of the customer. And we felt like the Blue Lab was going to be a way to just push ideas out, get ideas back in, and then, of course, have a platform for airmen, not for us, but for airmen.
Yeah, I think the thing we had no idea kind of what it would become, and it's pretty interesting. Is we've met people like NCOs who tune in, Korea, night shift. I mean, when you're reaching maintainers who put the stuff on a projector in a hangar, man, that's like on swing shift. I mean,
that's big money.
We hear about this stuff, right? And so,
absolutely.
I think that the premise of it is we want to invite people into the lab to tackle problems for their future, right? And so that was kind of the concept of the lab. Is the lab can be anywhere, right? The lab could be, we didn't want it to necessarily be about us. It's funny is Team Back, he came up with that logo and everything, but we just had fun with it. I think it's been cool, no doubt. But it was really just about making sure people feel connected about what's going on in our formations and our force, and really ultimately the future that we're going to turn over to somebody else one day.
Right. That's interesting, because we had a real sharp airman on Pete 2 episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
2 episodes ago, and I met him because we were talking about communication and the difference in between our generation and their generation with communication. And the first thing he said, one of the biggest topics, was social media, right? Because their generation is more locked in with that. I can't tell you half the time what's going on with TikTok or TikTok or whatever it is. But he said that's what it is. So for y'all to take it and bridge that gap, you know what I mean, from us into the generations that utilize this platform to communicate, it helps. It helps, because a lot of airmen, I mean, who really would, or younger generation who really would just walk up to, chief, like, hey, I'm thinking about this. A lot of them are less inclined to do so. So appreciate that. Appreciate y'all for that, for sure.
Yeah. Chief Blaze, I want to ask you, one, I guess, why did you join the military, taking you way back? And then I know I work with Intel now, and they told me the first thing you ask somebody about Intel is don't talk about Intel. So I know we're not going to talk about Intel, but they what got you started in the Air Force? And I got to ask, why Intel? I got to ask.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is I don't know if many Intel people have this story, but I mean, you got to realize when I came in, so I barely graduated high school. I kind of given up on myself. I started dating a girl that I thought I had no opportunity with, and her mom was like, "Nah, bro, like you're gonna graduate high school." And so I went night shift. I grinded. I felt like I had to actually ace exams. And the funny part about this, I ended up graduating on time. But for 20 years, man, I thought I aced those exams straight up. Jen's mom told me last year, she's like, man, you didn't ace those exams. I thought like, so for all this time, I was like, man, I actually got capability if I apply myself. And I was like, no, I didn't actually do that well in this exam. So let me do it anyway. And so I was kind of just hanging out. You know, I was raised by my grandparents with kind of some old-fashioned values. My mom and dad weren't involved in my life, and so I was, you know, as a young man, I was kind of still searching to prove myself a little bit. And it's kind of weird how it worked out. I always thought Jen was going to be, you know, wow, so much more successful than me. But I literally went to the mall to buy a pair of Jordans. So you got to talk. This is '97, late '97, right? MJ in his prime. And I went to the mall. First time I could afford a pair of Jordans. I walked by a recruiter. 2 weeks later, I was in the Air Force. I came in open general. I wanted to do art, photography, graphics, and they were like, "Oh yeah, they'll tell you, they'll sit you down, they'll go over that stuff." Man, you know, I felt like they threw a phone book at me, and I scrambled to write down anything I could that had something to do with art. And there was a job on there called photographic interpreter at the time. And man, I had no idea I was signing up for Intel. And so, you know, I actually had a pretty bad experience. My first base. This is when they were still trying to figure out technology and plugging in signals, bouncing across satellites and stuff. Allied Force happened, so literally my first base, man, we were at war. But I was at Beale Air Force Base. Jen married me. Came out to California. You know, we had a young baby boy, and then I was probably headed out of the Air Force. And then you know, this is back when they had orderly rooms. Man, I didn't even know, like, AMS was like a brand new thing. This was like AOL dial-up, gateway, computer boxes, like way back in the day, right? And so, you know, I logged on AMS. I saw Simon on there for Hawaii, and I was like, man, if I can get this girl who said I'm gonna take a risk on you and go all in on you, if I can get her to Hawaii, I'll stay one more. And so in Hawaii, you know, I was out there working a joint assignment, and, you know, I was still senior airman, great staff giveaway. And boom, 9/11 happened, and Intel went, you know, exploded as far as the priority, man. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into Intel, and you know, like that call to serve, and just, you know, it was a big leadership challenge certainly, but yeah, I can go on for days for that, man. But it's been awesome to work kind of in all the different Intel communities, and with a bunch of amazing people who did some hard things as the demand kept going up and up for answers while we had men and women in harm's way.
Yeah, I would work with a lot of 1-0s right now, and so hearing that you were 1-1, I was asking all my Intel guys, like, you gotta give me the scoop, like, and they were like, we don't talk about Intel.
That's what you get. Trying to cheat. KC, what about you, sir?
Oh man, me and Blaze. Matter of fact, we was talking about it this morning, man. We come from humble beginnings, man, and you know, I would tell you, in my yearbook, you know, and you can check it. You know, least likely to succeed was this guy here, right? I played ball, man. I really felt I had an opportunity to go play ball afterwards, but I just remember when I graduated, graduation day, finish, you know, walking the stage, get home, lay on my bed, and I'm like, man, I ain't got you know what I'm saying? Like, my mom ain't said nothing up. Ain't nobody said nothing up for me. And my sister, she went to the Army 2 years ago, and I lied to myself, man, for like years, you know, and I knew I wanted to do something more, but I knew there was no avenue for me to get there unless I played ball. But then as I watched in my neighborhood, not too many people, you know, that left to go play ball, they came back because they messed up. They did something wrong, because where we come from, man, is just we just have a different mentality, man. Like, you know, you're always in a survival mode, right? And I just made a decision, man, with 3 of my friends, and we was like, you know what, we leaving Lafayette, Louisiana, man, and that's what we did. I was supposed to be medical, but the recruiter called me up, man, and was like, hey, your boy's getting in the same day. There's a program to get y'all all in, but you're gonna have to be like this job. And I came in as weapons, and that's what we did. But I would tell you, man, you know, looking back and you know, and I'm just gonna put it out there, man. You know, no matter, you know, and I said I was gonna play ball, you know, do 4 years, and you know, I kept doing the thing, trying to get into basketball and everything else, but I realized at a certain point, you know, God don't make mistakes, man. Like, I was where I was supposed to be, and when I realized that that's where I was supposed to be, and then I started pouring into this thing we called work, right, in the Air Force.
Right.
So
right.
that's my.
Man,
It's
that's
good stuff.
both crazy stories. Blaze, where are you from originally? I don't think I heard that.
Well, you got to walk them in, man. You know, so I say Tampa, but it's actually a small town called Largo, Florida.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay. Never heard of that one.
yeah. Area.
No, that's awesome. And how did y'all meet? Where did the meetup happen at?
You go first, man.
Nobody would tell. I don't know if it's a good story.
Nah, 2000. Nah, man, this is how crazy it is, right? So 2010, we're in Germany. That was an opportunity for us to kind of work together. We're on the top three. That was a person. I don't know if y'all know her, but that was a person by name I think Joanne Bass. She was the.
I heard that name somewhere. It sounds.
Yeah. Might have crossed paths a little bit.
She was the top three president. I was the vice president. And then then Blaze, we all had this idea about creating this developmental program called Total Force Development. And basically it was a concept where we just basically take courses and we make it military focused and we teach it. It's not something that has to be created. It's from commercial stuff. And so we all kind of like tagged together in 2010, and then we went to different bases. And for some reason, man, we just bumped into each other. Like we bumped into each other at Lackland. We bumped into each other at Langley. He was the command chief there. And we just kept bumping into each other, man. And then I was at Lackland. He came to be the 37th Training Wing command chief. And I was in a squadron there, and we bumped into each other again. And so, and I go back to what I said 5 seconds ago, man. God knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
This wasn't I did.
It's actually funny. I remember it a little bit differently. And I was a student. So KC was a PME instructor, and so I come back from Korea. I remember the academy pretty significantly because they called me on a break, and so I had just come back from being off away from the family for a year. I get called in on a break in PME, and they're like, "Hey, you're deploying." So like I ended up being gone 19 out of 24 months, man. That second deployment felt 10 times longer than the other time being away from family. But KC, like I was kind of like, damn. So my mind necessarily wasn't on PME when I was going through, but this dude was annoying as hell to me, man. His energy level was nonstop. You know what I mean? As an instructor, man. And he was just running up down the hallways like, "What's up, man? What's up, man?" And I was like, "Bro, like, come on." But once I started realizing like this is just for real, like this is just who this guy is. And so I think that kind of always attracted me about him, and his passion for people and pouring into others. I think we had that common bond, and so I think that is actually what, no matter where we've been, it's attracted us to us. And it's funny is when we were working together in the last job, people were like, "Damn, how are you guys doing this stuff so fast in this job?" But we had to tell them like we started this over a decade ago. Like we were always trying to think, what if we could do this? What if we had the opportunity to do this? And I think it's pretty cool. Is that person by the name of Chief Bash? She's cleared the runway, but she put a pretty high bar on us too. But it's been cool.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of people giving a lot of shout outs. I forgot to look in there, but a lot of people giving good shout outs out there. So if y'all have any questions, please go ahead and ask in the comments and make sure we'll put them out there, put these gentlemen on the spot. Big Mike, what you got?
KC, so what's the best part of the whole job to you? If you had your top 3 things, what would be the best top 3?
Man, I'll keep it real simple, man. It's I had a goal in my life that I wanted to be in force development for the Air Force, right? And so I couldn't be there because the job was you had to be a graduated command chief to get to the job. And but then the call happened to where, hey, you have a passion. This is something you love to do. Do you want to go and be in force development? I was like, hell yeah. So I would tell you that's not 3 things. I would tell you because it's a passion, and because me and this guy, we actually, and he'll tell you this story, but we actually, he lived in the basement, man. And we woke up, we went to the gym together, talk work. We were in the gym, talk work. We run back in the gym, talk work. My wife, by the time she come back, she had a shake ready for us. We would talk work, and we did it 24 hours. So I would tell you this: every part of it was amazing because what we were doing was changing lives, man. And every day we woke up was about changing lives. And we kept it about airmen. It wasn't about us going to some other position or doing some other big thing in the Air Force. It was, how do we impact airmen lives today? and then and make a difference today. I would say that's the number one. That's overarching over everything.
That's
What
awesome.
about you, Blaze?
You would say my favorite thing, or
What's your number one thing? What keeps you going doing this?
man, I mean, it's interesting is every time you meet. I remember probably the third day I was here was in the gym coming out, and I ran into this young airman, and he kind of had some swag to him, right? A little bit of kind of, and because I'm not saying he should have known who I was or anything. I'm glad he didn't, right? But we had a very real conversation. I was talking with him, and then I fast forward, I see him, at an event, and he was like, "Oh, damn, I didn't know like you were this guy." And I was like, "Yeah, man, it's all good, right? Like you shouldn't know." But I think is that I love, man, like listening to people's reason for being on this team, and that's one thing Casey and I always love. Why'd you join? Why'd you stay? And I think my favorite thing, man, is we're in the business of doing hard things. I mean, we got challenges for days, but we got people here who are on the field side by side, and I just love getting after with them. I mean, the people that we work with, man, they inspire me. You can get frustrated with this stuff all day long, but I think the same thing that I look at is that, man, we got an opportunity to do something meaningful together, and I've always just tried to keep that in my lens, man. Like we're all kind of misfits. We all come from broken situations, different situations, and I just think even all of us on here right now, man. Like if I stayed in my hometown, I wouldn't know y'all. Like I wouldn't have run into Pete freaking, like the fact that he like. I mean, think about this. I mean, you guys been in retirement ceremonies, right? They're gonna put a bunch of stuff in a box one day. That stuff don't pop back to you. The fact that like I might hear from Pete in 10 years from now and get another update, it's like, dude, that's gonna fill my heart, and I might need that on that day. And I just think, man, there ain't nothing better than that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. First of all, shout out to, I think it was that boy Matt for the donation. If you guys want to donate to the show, it's ticking across the bottom. You guys can go ahead and donate to there. So I think it was that boy Matt. Please correct me if I'm wrong, whoever that boy Matt was, but I really appreciate the donation. And we are going to throw out our first question. Big Mike, I can't read well, so this is yours. That's the easy one.
Gents, what's next in talent management? KC, you want to take that one?
I'm taking that. All right, so oh, man, that's so I told a story yesterday, man. I said, look, man, I'm losing a lot of friends right now. I'm just gonna be real. I'm losing a lot of friends because people call my baby ugly, and my baby is my eval. My baby is the new EPR and everything we're doing. And I see it, man. Somebody puts stuff up there. I'm like, you know what? I'm defriending them, man. I'm done with them. So but here's what I would tell you, man. Talent management is man, the inspiration by our Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force and senior leaders to really get after the Enlisted Force Development Action Plan was one of its kind, man. And if folks in the Air Force have not perused through that and see how they fit into that, man, they missing something, because where we're going to be at in 10 years will involve us to be educated, to be for us to be smarter, and for us to be agile. But the goal for us as leaders in the Air Force, man, is to be able to look at this action plan and then allow airmen to see themselves in it, and then talent manage them through the process. So, how do we build that next Blaze? How do we build that next Pete and Mike? And so the things in talent management, I think, will get us there. We're talking about innovation, innovators. So how do we find and locate those internal and external innovators? And then how do we take all this knowledge we have, institutional knowledge we have with chiefs and seniors and masters, and how do we take that excellence, man, and really pour into these younger folks to really take what we've learned early? And so that's another piece when we're talking about how do we build the next leader. So innovation is one, those internal, external innovators, and really an excellence program of how we build early and give that knowledge early. So those are the two things I know that's on my plate. But my entire team, man, small team, but we're working from my eval to just development and taking that action plan and really tying into the connective tissue of talent management. So a lot of things happening, a lot of things I can't discuss right now because a lot of it is actually going in front of senior leaders. As a matter of fact, next week on Monday. But you will hear some things, man. I think the force, when they see it and hear what we're doing in talent management, y'all going to be so happy to be part of this force, man, especially where we headed. So I'm just excited. And of course, the partner with Blaze again on many of those things is key.
Right.
Blaze, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think man, I think people got to realistic is we're still figuring out what talent management is. A lot of times we talk about it when maybe somebody we know didn't get the assignment or didn't get the stripe, and there's a lot more to it. Especially you look at individual attributes and everything. And so I think is um, the main thing I think is the most important thing is we talk a lot about people reaching their full potential, and we gotta really make time to really. I think what I'm most excited about what Casey's doing is the assessments, both self assessments and then assessments of your team. How many times we got four lenses, we got all those things we do, man, we don't even do anything of that stuff, and then we just make judgments off of what we see. But there's so much more to somebody than what you're judging on the outside, and so that's what I'm excited about that he's working on.
Man, 100%. I love it. Yeah, I like all that.
Go ahead, P.
No, thank you. Real quick, I just want to get off the Air Force thing for a while. Casey, you said you played ball. Were you playing football or basketball? Who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite player?
Play basketball, man. I'm a LeBron fan. I'm just.
No! I'm gonna leave it at that. God, no! Oh Lord! Oh no! No!
But you also got, when you ask me about players, it goes beyond basketball. LeBron and what he does for the community, what he does as a person, as a human being, man. Like, I don't even care if he scores 0 points for the next 10 games, but the fact that he does so much for the community, and then how he engages with his sons, man, and his family, man, that to me means more than just the game of basketball, man. It's what you do with that platform.
I could dig that. Maybe I blew up too quick. I could dig
that. Yeah, you blew up way too quick. You blew up way too quick. See, KC looking at the whole non-airman concept of LeBron. You know what I'm saying? You gotta.
So
hey, I'm not necessarily a huge LeBron fan. I mean, obviously I grew up Jordan era, but I will say, obviously I think we all kind of study leadership a little bit, but I give him a lot of props for the Drew League. For everything in the Drew League, and I saw. If you guys saw Draymond's statement, I mean that. I think that was
big.
He nailed it, man.
Yeah, that's
doing a lot of big things.
A big change when you're that big involved in basketball. Probably the best basketball player right now. Let me make sure I put that out there right now. And to go ahead and drop down or go to the Drew League and express your talents over there. That's huge. That's magical. I like all that as well. Big Mike, you want to get to another question, or where you at?
Yeah, who we got in here? Chief Winner. She said, what you got? Okay. If you had to pick one favorite job or assignment in your career, what has it been?
Yeah, this one's pretty easy for me. It's the current job I'm in. I think a lot of times we can get clung to past jobs a little bit too much, if that makes sense, and I tend to call that like kind of staring at the trophy case. And then I also hear people kind of talking about, hey, what's next? And you can miss the opportunity that's right in front of you right now. And so I think, everywhere I go from here on out, I think whether it's in uniform, out of uniform, the most important job is really the one I'm in. And I think is, and that was actually Leary Guyton. So KC knows Leary pretty well. He really made me understand is that everything exists in the moment. Like you can be inspired or clung to the past, and sometimes that fuels you, sometimes that holds you back. And then the future is just kind of an idea, but what you do right now is what matters more than anything. And I was like, I just try to always just lean into that.
Right.
I like that answer, Blaze, but I'm gonna keep it 100 on this one, man. BMT, man. Man, don't get me wrong. I totally appreciate and love what I'm doing now because it's where it's at, and it's really the forefront of some new things. But being, and Blaze, this, man. Seeing those new trainees come in, man, and being at basic military training, being at 37, man, it's something powerful about that bomb run, about that gateway, man. And whatever job I've done prior, whatever job I go into the future, something just always comes back to waking up and going back to hearing that reveille, man, and it's just powerful, man. And then to see the families hug their loved ones for the first, their sons and daughters for the first time in 7.5 weeks. Man, it's just powerful. It's just something I can't let go.
Yeah, I do agree. It is the greatest show on earth. And it is
I will say, you know, it's funny because I was just doing the intro for this, and I was looking for the drum beat that you walk to when you walk across the parades and started off with. I thought that was really tight, but I couldn't find exactly where to put it. But that's definitely in the works. Trying to get that fixed in there, to put that drum beat in there. But something about those drums going across, walking to the beat. Like if you ain't ever walked to a beat before, that's the first time you're gonna walk a little different. You're gonna change your steps up a little bit different. Shout out Chief Gilbert in the building. Chief Gilbert said, "What's up, my peeps? Glad to see y'all still doing great things. I really appreciate Chief. Glad that you on here, Big Mike."
So I'm gonna switch up a little bit too.
Oh,
Chief,
let me pull this down. I thought you were getting on. Go ahead.
Blaze, you said about living in the moment, right? And people always trying to say what's next. And I'm talking about ground level, right? Because we had so many talks over here. I mean, me and Pete and them had plenty of talks about ground level and people when it came to promoting, right? You get a stripe for like 40 days, and you're like, oh, I need to start getting ready to be a senior, you know, and you haven't even been a master sergeant for 24 hours. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Man, I appreciate you bringing it up, man. I think you guys remember, you guys been in long enough to remember the old EPRs we had, right? And you remember, like, you could have been like a senior airman for 10 seconds. It was like staff sergeant yesterday, right? Like, and we just did it on every single form had to have that, and we just did that to ourselves. And I think is that it's interesting is, you know, when you go to talk to ALS or any of those other things, but we almost kind of feed this promotion culture. And what I've kind of realized, and Casey and I are open about this, we got it, we're Chiefs, man. But kind of one of the best things about Chiefs is you don't trip about any of this stuff anymore, you know? But then, you know, a lot of times people want to ask is, well, how do I make it? How do I do this or that? And I think the thing that actually concerns me the most about it is it's not a very inclusive conversation. You know what I mean? It kind of tears us apart. You know, and everybody needs to be cheered for what they're doing and serving, and what they're giving. And so I think is that, you know, that culture, man, if you feed that thing too much, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not saying we shouldn't give people opportunities. But one thing Casey unpacked that I think is pretty awesome, that, you know, we would go to the whiteboard a lot, and he would say, if you had people that could just say, hey, man, I don't even want to get promoted. If I could say that out loud and it wouldn't hurt me for like future consideration, then a lot of people would take that opportunity. And I thought that was super interesting to me, you know. And we started asking groups that, and they were like, hell yeah. Like, if you told me I could put this on pause and I can jump back on this train when I want to, but like this rat race culture, man, to your point, like everybody starts faking it, right? Like that's, you know, that's like Jack 101. Don't fake the funk in a nasty dunk, right? Like I remember that line. And like I just remember, like, a lot of times people feel like they have to play the part, and that's really difficult, and it's just a lot of added pressure. And so I think the other thing that makes it kind of challenging too is we can do a better job, I think, on the active mentorship side to help people understand what people don't see is you don't realize once you land in that, like maybe you sacrifice late hours, weekends, time with the family to get that stripe. Man, you don't know the weight that comes with it.
Right.
And what's on the other side of that thing. And once you're there, it ain't like you can go back. You know what I mean? And if you do, like, it's not good circumstances. So, man, I know Casey's got, he and I kind of chop up on this quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, man, but I think it's something we need to talk more openly about.
Definitely appreciate the answer. What's your thoughts on that, Casey?
Oh man, man, I think we've always had a culture to where it was, you know, let's get to the next, let's get to the next, let's get to the next. You know, you can, and as you say it, man, you can be in a job one day and it's like, what's next? It's just crazy. Like, what's next? I've had that question when I first got, you know, to force development. I mean, I'm literally 35 days in a new job, and it's like, hey, what's next?
Right.
What's next? Now is next. Now is next. You know, man, what I would say for airmen, and I had to check myself just the other day, and this is crazy because I mean, I know better, right? And we've been in long enough to know better. And I just got my EPR right back, you know, as a chief, and it says current assignment, right? And so when you really break that down, you know, as you start looking at current assignment, groom, ready now, there are some things that happen when you start looking at those blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it and I was like, man, I'm about to call my old director. Like, why you change that? Like, put ready now and put some other stuff on there. And I realized, but then I caught myself. I'm like, I closed out the EPR on 31 May. 1 June, I'm in the new job. I shouldn't be putting ready now to be a X, Y, and Z. It needs to be where I'm at. Like, you're in the current job. You won on the job in the new EPR. Like, that is the right thing to put. Nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? What's wrong with me? But then I go back and I think about that airman. There's a culture that if you don't put my number one or my X of X and this and that, like now I'm in this race now. And guess what? That one little statement will mess me up for 5 years. That's how we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, man, we just need to think about the now. We need to think about our families, because we're gonna give you something. You're gonna pray on it and you're gonna get it. And guess what? You're gonna wish you never had it because maybe it wasn't the right time for you. And and so I would caution folks, man, especially when they ask me to look at EPRs. I will spend the full evening with looking at your EPR, but I will not tell you your promotion recommendation. That's not my job to get you promoted. My job is just to look at your words and tell you exactly how you can be better at being a human being and be better at being an airman. The promotion stuff is going to happen if you're doing the right things. And I'm going to tell you if you're doing the right things, but I'm not telling you to get promoted, because I think, and Blaze hit it, that's mentorship. My mentorship is not to get you promoted, because my mentorship is meant to help us be better people, better human beings. And I think if we do that, we'll get there.
100%.
Man, 100%. And I think that's forgotten about a whole lot. Both things that you said about being in the moment and not always looking for that next thing. Right when you get to that, not right when you get in the door, you're already looking for the next door, and you ain't even looked around yet. You just got tunnel vision and walking straight to the next door, and forget about the people to the left and the right of you that you're supposed to be bringing up with you. And it sucks. And I think we all realize that there are people like that are around, and it's an unfortunate thing. And hopefully, how it shakes out is how it shakes out, and you deal with them when you deal with them. Kind of along the same facts, but since he's on here and he asked the question, I kind of wanted to put it out there, but it's kind of along the same things that you guys already hit on. But if it's more direct, with the recent tech sergeant stats and how the Air Force is promoting less in the future, how do you keep NCOs and our younger airmen motivated to continue to get after the mission? I think I know where this is gonna go. It might go really bad, but that's all right. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Done.
Go really bad.
Yeah, Rodney. Hey, we'll be all right. We're gonna get you an answer either way. But do any of y'all want to take that? Because I'm ready to fire off on them. But go ahead.
You can't be firing off on people, man.
I can. My show. I can.
I'll follow you, man.
All right. Here's my thoughts, and I'm going to keep it from the heart when I answer this. And I think maybe I'm more blue than I was in the future. So in the past, so I think it's going to come off. It might come off a little wrong, but promotion will be lower. I feel this is just KC just prophesizing right now. The numbers are going to get lower. Whether we're fixing something or whether we're focusing on time and grade, time and service, more experience. Here's what I would say. When every one of us signed up to this thing called the Air Force, we came in for something. And I promise you, I don't think many of us were thinking about, man, I want to be a senior airman at 2 years. I want to be a staff sergeant at 4. I want to be a thing at 13. And I think majority of us joined because that was a calling and a need, or we was running from something or to something, right? And I think at some point we realized that there is a way for us to increase our value, increase our income in our families. And I strongly believe that we got to figure that part out. But there are other things that impact how we promote and when we promote. And there's a thing called government. There's a thing called money, and those things are going to happen. And we got to realize, man, that there's a lot of things happening in the world today that we weren't prepared for. And it does come back to us in the form of promotions. It comes back to us and look at our infrastructure, man. Look at the dorms. Look at some of the things that we need to put money. Look at our fighter jet. Look at all the things that's out there we need to put money towards. But what I would say is that I believe, in being at the Pentagon, I believe, and I know this for a fact, is that if our leaders can give every single tech sergeant a stripe, they would.
Mm-hmm.
That deserve it. That deserve it. I believe that if we can give every single person a promotion when they want that promotion, if that was a wand, I believe our senior leaders would do it. But there are constraints in the system. There are things that we have to do, and we have to balance those things. So what I would tell folks who may have missed it because of low numbers, I would tell them just stay focused on what's important. Stay focused on the things that's important. And when the time and opportunity comes, you will stay prepared. Don't lose motivation because the system is saying we need 10% this year. I've been through that system where it was 5%. And guess what? I've been through the system and it was 60%, you know? Ride the wave. Ride the wave. It's coming. And the need for you to be more balanced and understand what we need for you in your job. Because if that balloon goes up, I don't give a that chief stripe don't matter. It's about grabbing a gun and protecting some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Right.
let's keep it in perspective of why we're here and why we do the things that we do. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking out the numbers. I wish I can give every single person out there deserving to get that number, but let's not lose perspective on where we're at. And I know it comes from a chief, so it's like, dude, you can't, you know, what are you talking about? But I was in the system when I had more Passover days than promotion years. So I get it. I know it. And I would just tell them just don't lose motivation. Just keep the good fight. Don't keep doing what you're doing, because that's the worst thing you can tell people is keep doing what you're doing. I would just tell them level up, and just keep putting yourself in a position where you're taking care of the people around you, you're taking care of the mission, and you're taking care of your families. Things will come into place. Sorry, long answer, but I just wanted to tell it.
I appreciate that, but it's people that somebody need to hear that. He asked that question. He needed that answer.
Yeah, Blaze, you got anything to add to that, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys got other things. I think I'll just keep it simple. I mean, I certainly we understand this sends a message to people, and it's an unintended message. You know, in terms of we got NCOs, man, who are doing all the heavy lifting that we need them to be doing out there, and I get it. It is kind of like a stock market, unfortunately. Funding in our government, it pivots between different programs. Things happen, and I really do wish that you know our senior leaders would never allow it, but I almost wish you could have like a live stream of the decisions they had to make every single day.
Man,
I mean, I'm talking like tough calls, you know, and it ain't like they can just ask for more money. Like it's congressional mandates and stuff. And so if you think about it, you know, with the coming out of Afghanistan, with the stuff going on across the nation, we got education needs. We got a suicide crisis coming out of COVID, right? With younger generations. Like that's not a military issue only. That's a nationwide issue. You know, we've got a lot of things that we're taking on from a government, and so. You know, these were not easy decisions from our senior leaders. I think the main thing is you talk about the promotion conversation we were having before. We're kind of running this collision course where now, because we had that check in the box culture a little bit, where someone almost like a, you know, like an Eagle Scout. Hey man, I did everything you asked me to do and 10 things more, and my name still didn't come out on that list. And I think that's the kind of the challenge. But I think if we could get to a point, you know, where like KC talked about, if people could look at what you did and gain, like I'm a better leader, I'm a better communicator. And I think the main thing is we got to get away from where we define value in the thread count and the number of stripes you wear. You know, like we got to. And it's funny, you know, I talk to people who retire, and nobody cares if you were. I mean, obviously we've been in work centers and people call you chief, you're a retiree and stuff. But you know, I mean, I know SESs who were staff sergeants. You know, like high level CEOs were staff sergeants, and so I think we're lucky that people who are on our team, whether if they're serving the right way for 4 years, for 20 years, you know, we're thankful for the service. I think this is going to drive some career decisions on what people want to do. I would just say is that you know, come off the field on your own terms and make sure that every time you're depositing energy every single day, it's in what you believe in. I think that's what we got to do. I think it's our job as leaders to provide environments where, hey, those are the right conditions, they're the right rules, and at least it's fair and equitable to be judged on the merit of what people are given. And we'll make the call. Obviously, it's not as many stripes as we think. You know, people are usually, it always works this way. And I ask you guys to think about it this way. Would you rather have more people acting like tech sergeants in the force, and not enough tech sergeant stripes to give out? Or would you rather have more people acting like staff sergeants and then more of those stripes to give out? Which one would you want?
Right.
Yeah.
Like the better leadership level is I got people on the bench, man, that are ready to get in here and kill this game.
Yep.
And so again, at the human level, I got it. That kind of feels like, hey, I'm not being seen and valued. But like Casey said, it's just kind of it's what's going on in the timing and the system. And I just think we got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get fair opportunities and continue to be there for our teammates while we kind of stabilize this time.
Yeah. And I just want to throw one thing out on that, man, and this is for all the folks that weren't on that list. You are not replaceable. I'm just gonna put it out there. So never look at what we do and the importance of what we do as, you know what, I just decided to leave tomorrow, man. I'm replaceable. You're not replaceable. We have invested to some of them 4 years, 8 years, 10 years into what you do. And you are not replaceable. That talent will go somewhere else, and so be it if you choose to bring that talent somewhere else. But what you do in this force and what you have given to this force cannot be underestimated. Like your timing is coming. And don't ever think that you're less than because your name is not on that list. You are not replaceable. And I just ask that you just keep working. You just keep doing the things that's going to keep lifting you and putting you in a better position the following year. But you are not replaceable. I had to say that.
Right. Appreciate that, Casey. I think people get so stuck at putting themselves on other people's clock. You see somebody else do it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's time for me to do it. You might be capable of doing it, right? You might be able to get there one day, but just because that person got it at that time, that doesn't mean that's my time or somebody else's time. That's their clock. And I had a sharp tech sergeant saying, and it was enlightening to hear from his level to talk about the stats and everything. But it's a lot of experience that's not there, right? We got a lot of people that may think that they're ready and got it tracking, but the experience is not there. Like, we need people, like you said, Chief, that has that experience at that level, so we can lead them people to where we need them to be, so we can properly train our replacements. Like me and Pete talk about a joint mentor we had for years, and I probably say his name once every show, but Jay Hallman. And that me as a staff sergeant, like it took me 4 times to make tech, but I realized I needed to learn to be the best staff sergeant I could be before I got to that next level, because I honestly had to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to supervise supervisors. And I don't think people see that. They're just thinking about, I want my sleeve to be a little bit heavier, or my chest to be a little bit heavier. But are you ready for that territory that you're about to step into? Because there's a lot of sharks out there. And are you ready to get in that water and protect the people behind you? Because if you aren't, you probably need to stay where you are a little bit longer, so you can get a little bit bigger to deal with those fights that's going to come.
Yeah. Hey, Big Mike, I gotta just add on that, man. So Lee Hoover lives next door to me, man. He's the 42nd command chief here, and Casey and I were with him at BMT, and so he was mentoring the ALS class, and I thought it was amazing. The class, him as a chief, they said, hey, how fast did it take you to make chief? Which is just not normal, or not abnormal. Like any of us, somebody said, hey, how fast did it take you? He said,
right.
One thing I wish we didn't ask so much is, don't worry about how fast it took us, but was I ready when I got there?
Mm-hmm.
And that whole class, man, they were like, they came back, and it was neat. Is the individual that was selected for the team to come up and speak for the class, they said that hit them like everything. That they shouldn't be worried about the ticker, but am I going to be ready when that moment comes, man? I think right. I don't care where you're at in the team, that call to say, am I ready to be there when that bell sounds, man? That's where we need to be focused.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hey, I want to pile on one thing on this, man. And it reminds me when I went up for chief the first time. I didn't make chief my first time, but I just remember the things that happened in my life that year. And if I would have made chief that year, and thankfully the stars aligned where I did not make chief, but I was not ready to be nobody's chief. I wasn't ready to be nobody, no leader in no organization with the things that I faced that year as a person. You know what I'm saying? So But I look back at that and I ask myself, man, what if I would have made Chief at that time? Where would I be at today, man? I could be at here, I could be there. But I go back to saying this, and you said Big Mike, is that you're right, man. We just gotta be honest with ourselves about our timing and our opportunities, and when is the right timing for us. But I think the bigger conversation in all of this is when we start talking about money and what a next strike provides. I get it. It's more for your family. It's more groceries on your table. Look at the economy right now. Like, you're talking housing. I mean, just the rental, so being a tech is important to my family because of what's happening in society now. Now, I can strongly say this because I see it, and man, what our senior leaders are doing to fill that gap and to minimize the things that's happening, that's a different conversation. And I know that they're on top of that. But to use, and I see it on the blogs, hey man, we need this because of the economy. That's a different conversation. We're talking BAH, we're talking those things. But when we're talking about the strike, that also brings something else. And you're taking care of human beings, more human beings, when you're sitting in that particular rank. And that so I just make sure that we separate the conversation when we being honest with ourselves, the economy versus some of the responsibilities.
Yeah,
right.
Responsibilities
is huge. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Pete.
I appreciate the question first of all, and to ask and be bold to ask that question. So Rodney Dunn, I really appreciate the question. Looking at our comments, we have a special guest in the comments. So really appreciate Chief Bass for being on here. Greetings from the UK, dialed in a little late and can't stay on. That's okay, Chief. I hope you can hear this message, but appreciate y'all having a discussion. And I can't think of a better crew of power or to share trust to power or truth to power. This is why I don't read the comments. Chief, appreciate you being on here.
And most deaf. Yeah. I mean, those, like I said, this is a conversation a lot of people be needing to hear, man. So, but go ahead, Pete. What you got?
I think me and Chief Roman talked about this, and you can have your pity party when you don't make rank. It's okay. You get one day. That's what he always told me. You get 24 hours. You need to take leave. You need to take a day off. You get 24 hours to have your personal pity party, but it better not be here in this office. So wherever you need to go to have your pity party, go ahead and have it. And then when you come back, you dust yourself off and you congratulate the people that made it, and you go ahead and press forward on where you're at. And I think that's one of the biggest messages that I got. Allow people to have their pity party, and that's okay. It's okay. And I think we all have missed rank more times than we made it. I mean, you only get 8 shots, and it is what it is at that point to make your rank. And so I think it's huge. And you just gotta remember, like Casey say, you're still responsible for taking care of people. Those heartbeats don't stop beating, and you're responsible for taking care of them. So you got to make sure that you're always ready to go on your game. And you thinking about rank is not taking care of people. You thinking about when your rank is going to come, and it's so hard to swallow in the moment. I just talked to a staff sergeant in the gym yesterday that didn't make it. He showed me his score, and he was like, oh, if I would have just had the score last year, if the cutoff would have been last year, I would have been in there. And I scored higher last year or this year than I did last year. I still didn't make it. It's like, yo, man, you got another year. And as long as there's 1% that can make it, you could be that 1%. I know the it's low right now for cops or whatever. I think it was at 6%. But as long as there's 1%, you could be that 1%. But I'll tell you how you can't be is you don't apply yourself. Definitely won't be. But if that's your goal to make rank, apply yourself, push forward, but always, like we talk about, take care of people. For sure, take care of people,
man. Like, I know you always hit us with a sports thing, regardless of what. But you got to think, like, we think about this. You got the starting 5 on the court, right? That's who made the starting 5. That's going to come off and kick that game. But you never see the bench turn around and turn their back to their starting 5.
Walk off the field.
You know like that. Being 100%. You never see the bench take their chair and spin it around and look in the crowd. You know what I mean? They still supporting their team. They still being there to make the starting 5 stronger, man. And that's how it got to be. Those are the ones that I really try to get to. If you ain't make it, cool, but clap for your team because they're still going to be a part of that fight.
Yeah, but Big Mike, man, I know y'all know Brink on Chief retired Brinkley, man. He says that everybody in your boat ain't rowing the same direction. Everybody on your roster ain't on your team,
right?
But you also got to look at the old culture, right? If I didn't, then I'm not going to support. Then. Maybe that bench is not supporting. And I've been in situations where the bench was not supporting. That's what, and I think that's where our leadership, I see leaders growing today is that we're clapping for each other. Like, I'm gonna give my pity party, but I'm clapping for you. But if you have a part of a team where you see where folks aren't clapping, then it's time for that leader to step back and say, okay, let's pull this thing together. Like, you need to be clapping. I know it hurt,
right,
but you don't pull your team down because you didn't get an accolade or you didn't get something. You know,
right.
now that person who got promoted, make sure you're reaching down and you're pulling up, you know, in other ways until that cycle comes and you know, we all clapping for that person to get that accolade. But man, just don't forget about the need to support the person that did get there.
Yeah,
because they need that push, because it ain't easy. It ain't easy as a new tech. It ain't easy as a new master. You know, it ain't.
It ain't.
And I tell you, just like you need people above you to help you out, you need people below you as well. If the people below me are shooting at me, I mean, I can't help you out. I can't help myself out. I can't help the team above me out because the people below me still shooting at me. Like, I need you to be on my team on both ends. I need to be squished in the middle. I need teammates on both ends. And as much as it's important to bring the people up below me, it's also important to support the people above me. And I need help. You always need help with that. You can't do it by yourself. Chief Blaze, we got another question specifically for you. I know you're still settling into your new position, but what are some things, maybe an exclusive look that we can get with the new PME?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. So there has been work actually going on. I mean, they definitely were waiting for me to get here. I'll tell you that first up, right? And so there's been work going on, you know, quite a bit in the past year. They actually reviewed all of the different levels of PME, and they validated to say, hey, is this the right stuff? And the charge was actually to say that, hey, they want to, if I remember the quote per se, Casey, you correct me if I'm wrong, it was less milk and more meat in the curriculum, right? And so, you know, this needs to be like the real stuff, like war fighting. And so it's kind of interesting is, you know, you can kind of fall in love with leadership lessons a little bit, but the actual tangible things that I can learn them there that can't be taught anywhere else, because it is a small window of time. And, you know, I had an article that, you know, they did an interview with me when I first got here. And I said, I think we need to actually put less emphasis on PME, you know, because we in a way, we try to solve every freaking problem in the Air Force in these tiny windows of time. If, well, we need to get this in PME, we need to get this in PME. We need to make sure the right stuff is in PME. But I think what's exciting about it is what's potentially game changing that's going on is now we're thinking about how do we connect more reps and sets and get them out at the installation level. So make sure, hey, while somebody's in PME, man, it's an experience that actually elevates their game as a communicator, as a leader, as an understanding how they fit into the bigger picture. You know, we're going to get that. Obviously, make some friends while we're here to build some connections, some relationships. But when they go back out, you know, I don't want them waiting for 6 years to be like, well, I got to wait for development for 6 years. You know what I mean? And so how do we actually give them some tools out there? Because it's not really right now, if you think about where does an airman go, I'm going to ask you guys, both you, Big Mike and Pete, let's say, hey, I went to PME 2 years ago. You're probably not going for 4 years. Where would you guys go for lessons and information?
I think the for me was like the Airman Pez's and the NCO Pez's, just the in between piece helped a lot. And then actually being able to be instructor, thanks to P getting over there to CAA, him and Chief Roman. So just kind of getting that in between piece to foster a lot of real conversations as well. So that would be my answer, Blaze.
Yeah, I say professional organizations, top 3, 5, 6 are always ways to get some kind of professional development as well. And I mean, there's always something out there. But go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, so here's the challenge with that, right? Is does anybody even track who goes to those PEZs? Like some bases, some bases do. You definitely don't need it to get your 5, 7, or 9 level. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like it's not a requirement. And so what happens is while we got motivated or people who have maybe the opportunity to break away from work, they go kind of get involved in those things. But we actually take a lot of risk on when we put responsibility on somebody and they don't have that developmental opportunity or they don't get the right content. And so what ends up happening is during our careers, we start speaking about, well, that's not the way it happens here, or that's not the real Air Force. You know what I mean? We say these things. And so I think what's exciting is I think what's going to happen, you know, and I think this is a little bit talent management, force development kind of comes together, is that right time, right development, and getting it out there where it's more open and available to people. I think that's the future of PME.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Hey, can I throw something out there with Blaze and make him laugh?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Blaze, you know, we hear this all the time. Air Force is not developing me. Man, let me tell you something about our Air Force. You get the most development in this Air Force through your peasants, through your functional area. Like when somebody says that, I can't control myself and stop laughing. Like you're getting the most development than anybody else in this world. And I just gotta say, man, our PME is great, but at the same time, there are so many other things that's happening. Like they are killing for us to come out. And of course, when we retire, when we get out of here, because they know what we get in the Air Force. They know we've been developed.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that there needs to be an appreciation from us all of what we're getting and also how we using what we're getting. Like we get a lot, but do not downplay the work that goes in and the development you're getting every single day just by being on the job. But that's all I wanted to say is just.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's just so many avenues out there. It's all about application. You know, those opportunities are there, but are you taking the time to use these opportunities? Are you applying yourself to go? You know, you get them people that want to be spoon fed, right? If I don't take the spoon and put it in your mouth, oh well, you didn't give it to me. Well, it was there. I put the food on the table. Why didn't you eat? You know. So that's the thing, that people don't take the opportunities that's out there. But I agree with you 1,000%. They are out there. Air Force cool. You know, you go on my vector with 1,000 different types of, you know, you go on there, just it's all there. I don't even half the people don't even know it's there because they don't apply themselves to go look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it kind of goes back to I'll just put together 2 points you kind of brought up too. You talked about the people on the bench and not turning their back on those on the field. I think we got to get better at, you know, how does that whole unit feel like they're lifting the trophy together, like that they're getting across the goal line together. That's kind of, I think, what, you know, that point on the sports analogy. And then also, if you think about the Pez, a lot of times people have to leave the unit to go get developed. They're leaving the court, right?
Right.
And so, like, you know, the most important thing you talk about applying it, man, that's got to be in the arena on the court. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where we got to build that connectivity.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I got one more question. I know we got to cut this off, but I got one good question that I want all of us on the panel to kind of ask this, because it's actually a really good question, something I should ask. But I want to put it in two different ways. So, Big Mike, I want us to take this as advice for the new masters, and Chiefs, I would like y'all to take this as saying, what do you look for in a new master? So, Big Mike, I'll let you go first.
So you said any advice for a new master sergeant? First, tap into your peers, right? It's people in that building that's been there, obviously, before you've been there. So tap into them. Don't look at them as, like I said, as sharks. Don't look at them as competition, you know, because we've all been there. Tap into them. Be humble enough to sit down, you know, as a CNCO core and say, hey, what am I missing? How do I fit in? What are some of the things that's going to help my lawnmower start and get this grass cut the way that it's supposed to? How do I do that? Right now, that's why I would start. Pete, you know, when we was new master sergeants, we sat down at that table plenty of mornings and just broke bread. Right? Hey, what am I missing? How would you do this? How would you do that? Keep a close knit or keep a tight knit network of mentors. Reach out to people, ask questions. Don't try to figure it out by yourself. But my number one would be, you know, which I should have started with, is your people. Sit down with your people. What do y'all need from me? Right? Because that right there can tell you so much about how you need to move forward. Ask your people, what do y'all need from me, and where do you need me to stand to make this team be successful?
I'll start off by saying appreciate Big Mike, and I remember the coffee, of course, and we need to do that again. But the first thing is welcome to the them, because now you're the them, and when everybody you know points at you for everything to make changes and do everything, and I'll tell you, as a new master, I didn't realize how much of the them I was until I got put into different positions where everybody's looking at me that I can move mountains and make things happen, and they are expecting that as well. Also, opportunities, and your opportunities will blow up as much as you let them. You know. Sitting at the squadron, you know, put it on master. About a year later, I'm sitting here at a headquarters in AFSIT and you know, running FP program. And so it opens up a big aperture that, as we talked about Tex not being ready to supervise, I'll be honest, I don't think I was ready for where I'm at now. And it's a grind. I thought it was supposed to get easier as you make rank, but I'm quickly learning that it gets a lot harder. So that's my advice for you. Like, if you thought you were going to step off the gas pedal because you put a rooftop on, you don't understand the road that you're going to have to drive on now is a lot bumpier, and the curves that you didn't know existed are willing to take. But Chief Blaze, we'll go ahead and start with you, sir.
Man, I love this question. I agree, man. I wasn't um, I was willing, right, but understand that like the true challenge of it, like you almost wish you can kind of see reflections in yourself. So I look at this. I'll tell you this is number one, like you talked about, know that you represent the franchise, right? Like that is so big, man. A lot of times for you look at just the sheer number of A1C, senior airmen, staff sergeants, and a whole Air Force, man, they're looking at you, and
Right.
and so those touch points, you represent the franchise, and so because of that, you gotta learn to be a gatekeeper. And what I mean by that is priorities are a real thing to your team. You got to figure out when to engage and say, hey, let me understand this. You got to know when to execute. You got to know when to hold the line, because that's stuff. But you're the gatekeeper to that, and there is
Right.
no such thing as neutral as a senior NCO. I love it that Big Mike talked about a core, man. Like you got to know that your brothers and sisters. I love how the Navy does stuff, right? Their first name from like from the second you become an E9, and you could be a E7 to you could be a seasoned E9, but it's game on. Hey, we're in this together. And
Right.
I think it's just looking at it that way and be willing to go in and get mentorship and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can I get some assistance?
Right.
That's where maybe in those NCO years you didn't cultivate that as much. Really, really important, I think. When you transition to senior NCO. And then the second thing you talked, the third thing I think is what you brought up. The pace is going to be more grueling, but you ain't running that pace. You ain't running that race alone. Like you got a team. And so if you try to hang all that on your back, you try to do everything, it's going to break you. But what it's actually going to do is deny your NCOs the opportunity to learn and to elevate their games. And we talk a lot about empowering them. And so just understand, like you're in a different position on the team, but to do that effectively and to not be embarrassed is you got to spend time understanding where the organization is going, so you point them in the right direction. Right.
Right.
So with empowerment comes accountability. So you got to be doing your homework to say, hey, I understand judgment. I can give you intent. I actually know what the commander cares about. I know what my flight commander cares about. Right. And so I can speak confidence and put you on a vector that while they're learning, they're still moving in a positive direction.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you're on mute, sir.
Yeah. Apologies, man. Every time Blaze get to going, man, I'm just sitting here like, yeah, like, put this right down in my book or something, But, no, dead serious, man. Like he always hits it, man. Y'all hit all of it, man. But here's what I would say two things, man. From my mentor, one of my mentors, and Chief David Lawrence, man. He's something that he always said, man. When you get that promotion, he says, man, like celebrate, like. Go get the decal, go get the T-shirt, get a tattoo if you want to. I mean, live it up like it's your birthday, right? But he says, but come Monday when you sew it on, people don't know if you had that stripe on 1 day or 10 years. Mm-hmm. But what they're going to expect from you is for you to lead them. Mm-hmm. And I will go back to when I made Master Sergeant, what I wish I would do, which I wish I would have done, but I tell people now. And that Sunday, the Monday before you go back in, I want you to rate yourself. Rate yourself in 5 to 10 areas of your life, right? As a mother, brother, sister, cousin, leader, follower, and just rate yourself. And I can tell you, if I rated myself when I stood on Master, I would tell you I was probably from 1 to 10. I was probably 10s, and maybe I'm being humble here, right? I was probably 10 in maybe 2 areas. But I remember, man, vividly, man, my son coming to me and telling me like, Dad, like just basically telling me like, Dad, you suck. Like you suck. Like you ain't a good dad. Like you may think you are, you may rate yourself as a 10, but you ain't a 10. Not in my book. Wow. And man, I would tell you, I would just rate myself because the things I'm good at, I'm probably gonna keep being good at, right? But there are some things as a master I need to work on. Maybe it's my followership skills, because now you're starting to get a little bit more different intent and direction from your senior leaders. So understand how you follow, and are you good at following? Don't just take the rank and think that you hit the pinnacle. So rate yourself. Go get an opinion on the folks that's closest to you in that area and ask them to rate you in that area, and then do a measurement there. Work on the things that you're not good at. And because that's the thing that's going to help you get to be more influential for the people that you surround yourself by, and also the people you expect to lead. Don't just walk into it like you all 10s. We ain't all 10s. Work on the areas where you need to a 10. All right, that's my thoughts.
I appreciate it. If y'all ain't inspired, check
Oh,
y'all pulse right now. Check your pulse right now. If y'all ain't inspired a little bit, make sure you good. Big Mike, what you got? Because we got to do Would You Rather, then we good.
I appreciate everything that y'all brought to us today, all the insight, the knowledge, you know, the conversation, just breaking some bread with us and giving us the time today to join forces, you know, from the two podcasts and sharing information. So I appreciate that 100%.
Yeah. So we usually, and we're gonna leave you guys with the last word. So I'm gonna echo what Big Mike said, and I appreciate this happening. And I know it takes a lot of coordination through all of us to make this happen, but I appreciate you guys saying yes and giving us a chance of making it happen. And like I said, Blaze is the second time you gave me an opportunity. I hope I didn't let you down either one of the times. So I appreciate it. I hope we have more in the future as well. But we like to play a little game just to really get to know y'all better. We call it Would You Rather. So I got a couple questions, and I usually go back. Well, we usually go 5 for one, 5 for the other. But I want to ask y'all the same question. Since you guys are a collaborative unit, let's see how collaborative y'all are with these answers. Real quick, I had a first one, and now they ain't got it no more. So let me go down here. Okay. Would you rather? And Cheap Blaze will start with you. Casey will go with you. Then we'll go back and forth the other way. So Cheap Blaze, would you rather be able to talk to land animals, animals that fly, or animals that live underwater?
Animals that fly.
Casey, what you got?
Animals
underwater. All right, we already got some vast differences. Okay, here we go. Would you rather? Casey, we'll start with you. Would you rather spend your life on a sailboat, at a home, or an RV?
Oh man, on the boat. Let's go boat.
RV all day long.
All right, Blaze, we'll go back with you. Would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future or 10 minutes into the future of anyone but yourself?
Yeah, if I had the opportunity, I would look into my own.
Hey, I would look into someone else's.
Okay.
Hey, opposites attract.
Yeah, we hit the last one. I'm really interested in this. All right, would you rather go back?
Like a dating game or what? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Opposites attract.
All right, would you rather go back to age 5 with everything you know now, or know now everything your future self will learn? Casey, we'll start with you.
The latter, whatever the latter one sound better.
So you'd rather know everything that's in your future?
Yeah, I would go there because I don't know about 5. I was still pooping in the draws, man.
Blaze,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, the second one.
It sounds good. I really appreciate the time. Like we said, we always leave y'all last words. So whoever wants to go first, please, last words.
I'm gonna follow you, my man.
All right, hey man, thanks for the opportunity, man. I hope, and I'll say this, Blaze. Hopefully, we can get y'all on the show where we can, show that same hospitality, and then really get y'all, dug into the lab and what we do in the lab. Because I think with y'all's platform, the things that y'all are doing, you would definitely be a great, not host, but be a participant on the show to really tag into the folks that tune in to hear some things, man. I think there's some great questions we can ask y'all because you're on the front lines, man, and I think people need to hear it from there. And then to say this to y'all, man, thank y'all for doing this because this is time out of your day. This is time that you're pulling away to just pour into others, man. And let's just be real, man. What we do is not easy. Now, this right here is not easy, man. I mean, y'all make it look easy, but there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, throughout your day, man. And people are gonna look back, at y'all and the work that y'all doing, how you're touching lives, and they'll see that, man. There are people out in this Air Force, there are people out in this world who really cares and who are gonna go the extra mile to ensure that people have the knowledge and have the information. And so, man, I just want to say thank y'all so much for doing this because without you all, without people doing this, man, we would not be as knowledgeable as we are on some of the topics. Somebody learned something today. And because you taught one thing today that somebody picked up, that's going to help other people know something. So just thank y'all so much, man. I appreciate y'all.
Shit, I definitely learned something. But yeah, Blaze, bring us home, sir, please.
No, man, Big Mike, Pete, this has been a treat. Really, I wish, man, we could just spend some more time together. And I'm looking forward to the next. We talk about repetitions, man. You guys are in the arena, man, and I can't wait to mix it up with you guys, get on the field. And so, really, really appreciate the chance for us to kind of come in and share. Even though we didn't pass the dating game, man, we continue to. It don't matter to him and I. And so, if anybody know Casey and I, man, we are kind of yin and yang. And I think that's the thing is differences shouldn't divide you, man. Like I think you should bring that, man. That's what we talk about, that better together business. That's what's up. And I think, just looking at all the stuff today, man, if we can keep driving to where the ultimate scorecard is making a difference in people's lives, man.
Right.
Like no matter what.
Right.
And I remember, like when I look back on we talk about specifically senior NCO business and everything. I tried to be the best airman I could be. I was really focused. I told you guys how I started, man. I wanted to make sure I was still trying to make my wife proud to say, hey, she made the right choice. And so that, providing to your family. But one thing I realized that I'll share with everybody is you could be the best airman on the planet. And like Casey talked about, that don't mean you're scoring points at home. And even though you're working hard for them, right? In your mind, man, you got to make sure that you're giving them deliberate effort, energy, and everything else too. And because how it'll matter, that especially us old heads get to see, all you got to see is if you want to pass the kind of look at the real test is look at what happens 10 minutes after retirement ceremony. You got some people who are just showing up for cake. You got some people who they're proud of that moment. Look at that front right row, and I just ask everybody, is that I'm blessed that my wife gave me the opportunity to kind of get things kind of back in balance. But while we talk about promotions and opportunities and fighting everything, we'll do what we can on this field. The ultimate thing, it could be somebody that I see downtown when I'm, going off base tonight or wherever it may be, man. If I can make a difference in somebody's life, no matter what that can be, man, there ain't nothing greater in the world than that. So I think we should all just kind of keep that in a lens, and that's what Casey and I think the best thing about having an opportunity to live with that guy for 6 months. We talked a lot about life. We were talking a lot less. I mean, we'll go to war for the Air Force, but man, the biggest thing is he helped me grow as a dad, as a husband. We talked a lot about that, and I think a little bit about my first sergeant council. I was kind of picking on him about, hey, we got to get out of this culture. And that was about speed dating. And a lot of times on the those speed panels they do, we got 5 minutes with this person, 5 minutes with this person. Man, imagine if we talked more about that life stuff on those panels. Right. Yeah. So I just ask you guys to really, if you're measuring what's really successful, again, if your scorecard is I can't wait for Pete to call me in 10 years, man, because I got all the confidence in you, bro. It's gonna be good stuff, man. Because you guys are in the business of touching lives. So thank you guys for allowing us to come on, man. It's been an honor to spend some time with you guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. Chief Wiener, thank you. Or Christy, it says thank you for the donation to the show. Really appreciate it. Keep the lights on a couple more episodes, so really appreciate that. The Air Force Blue Lab is in the building, sharing great nuggets, man. It was a great show. Really appreciate it. Please go back. There were some comments there we didn't get to, so please go back. Please tune into their show. You can see them on Facebook. They had a great. I know Chief Blaze had a great show with the Senior NCO Academy that just happened a couple weeks ago. So please go and tune into that. Watch all the great shows. Watch all our great shows. Till next week, we out of here. Big Mike, got anything?
Yeah. Like, share, comment, share, and like. That's what we need y'all to do. That's all I got.
All right, we out of here. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.